Hey, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to film a natural get ready with me look using the Naked Heat palette. It's my first time on YouTube here, my first time doing a video, but I hope you enjoy it. Here's a little quick peek of what it looks like with my eyes shut and open. Pretty natural, might not show up really well on camera, but it's a beautiful look for every day, and I really like it for transitioning from summer into fall. So enjoy and see ya. Hey, welcome. So today I'm going to do a get ready with me. Let's just start out. I'm going to use my Naked Heat palette. So I got this in July. It's fairly new. I love it. The formula is great. I feel like it's going to be a real workhorse palette for me, like all seasons. But I think fall might be its time. So first off, I'm going to start with some primer. I've got a sample of the Mercier Foundation Radiance Primer. I really like it. It's a nice light primer. It doesn't feel too sticky. Just gives me a nice radiance. Sometimes I even wear this on a no foundation day. I'll just dab it on and cover it. Maybe sometimes I'll use a little bit of powder on top. So here we go. So I just warm it up in my hands a little bit, and then I like to just apply it to my face. Just a little bit all over, just a little pea-sized dot. Sometimes I put it under my eyes too. I've got pretty dark under eye circles and really pronounced tear troughs, so sometimes I like to bring a little extra radiance to them. So there we go. We pop the primer on, let that soak in for a minute. And the foundation I'm going to use today, it's not my normal shade. For the summer, I use 3.0 Decay Naked Skin. I really like this foundation. It sits really well all day on my skin. It doesn't tend to break down on me. It's a nice light to medium coverage, but I can build it up fuller when I want to. I'm a fairly neutral undertone. I usually wear a 3.25, but in the summer, when I'm tan, I tend to get a bit more yellow. So the 3 works. It's almost even a little light sometimes, but hey, at least I don't have to drop another 50 bucks on another foundation because I already have this here. So I like to do just one pump on the back of my hand. And then some people like to take their sponge and go right in with the sponge and then dab it onto their face. But I like to take my finger and just apply it on the main parts first. That way I can get a bit of a thicker coverage where I get a bit of discoloration, which is my cheeks and my T-zone. So I just pat it on with my finger first. And then add a little bit to my nose, my temples, and I use my sponge to blend it out. So this is just, I've never had a real beauty blender. I got this sponge at Dollarama actually for $2.50. It's just a L'Oreal Cosmetics sponge, but I actually really like it. So I've already wet it. It's nice and bouncy, and then I'm just going to take it and blend out that foundation. So I'm just going to do a really light natural look today. So I'm not going to do really heavy coverage or anything like that. But like I said, you can with this foundation. You can build it up. Like, it's not like all-nighter, but it's a nice satin skin look. I make some funny faces when I put my makeup on, so I'll get used to that. Here we go. Sometimes I like to use the pointed side just to get right in between the nose. So as you can see, that's it's pretty light coverage. And it just sort of evens things out a little bit for me. The next thing I like to do is I like to take my Fit Me concealer, Maybelline Fit Me. There it is. I use it in number 10 in light. I like to use this one under my eyes. So just take the doe foot out. I don't really do big triangles or anything, especially on just a regular day-to-day look. I'll just apply it like that. And then I'll take the pointed side of my sponge and just blend it out lightly. Just squish it to get it a bit flatter. I don't have a smaller under eye size sponge right now. So I find that does the job pretty well. Next, for a little extra coverage and for on my face, I find the Fit Me doesn't sit as well on my face as it does on the under eyes. I'm going to take my True Fiction Triple Threat Concealer in Light Warm. I do believe I have Light Warm. Just like to squeeze it up a little bit, get a little bit of product there. I dab a little bit on top of the Fit Me just because, like I said, I have really dark under eye circles. I like to brighten them up a bit. I'm going to put a little bit on my nose because it's got a lot of color on it from the summer, so it'll just even things out a little bit. I like to do a little bit on my cheeks. If you can see, I've got a little scratch here. I was playing with one of my cats the other day, and got my face a little close to her sharp little paws. So I just put it anywhere where I have a bit of a discoloration, and up here, just to brighten things up a bit and even the complexion out. So again, I'm going to take my sponge and just blend it out. I guess some people consider it highlighting in the temple when you do it like that. For me, it's just extra evening out my skin tone. So here we go. I'm just going to blend that concealer in. I like to take it down on my chin a little bit, especially when I'm a bit more tan and my colors don't fully match. So again, I'm going to take this, go in with the sponge here under my eyes. So there we go. So that's what we got there. See, as you can see, my under eyes aren't fully covered, but that's okay for me. I don't need them fully covered every day, and sometimes because I have such dark pronounced ones, it looks a little off when I do that. The next thing I'm going to do is set my foundation and my concealer with the powder. So I recently got the Maybelline Fit Me powder. I'm using it in 120 Classic Ivory. I really like it. It seems really well. I was using Rimmel Stay Matte before, and that powder was great as well. But I think the Fit Me, it seems to be more finely milled. It settles into my skin a bit better. So the first thing I like to do is I just like to take this same sponge. You can use a brush for this as well. And I just dab it in, and then I just press it on top of the concealer under my eyes. Don't like rub, don't adjust anything. So, and what it does is gives a little bit of extra coverage as well. So we did that, and I'll use the same smaller side to do my nose. And then I'm going to take the round side and just pat it in there, and then just pat it on my forehead and the rest of my face to set down that base. So you don't have to be perfect. Like if you're like me, you're just an everyday person, like doing the school run, dropping kids off, running errands. Nobody's going to be staring at you to make sure your makeup is completely perfect or on point. I just like to feel put together when I go out. So, like I said, I'm not doing a perfect job today because, like, really, just doing a school run. There we go. So I've got my base set down. The next thing I like to do is go into my eyebrows. Right now, I just recently picked this up, the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer. I got mine in Brunette. It seems to work pretty well for me. I was using the NYX Micro Brow before, in Brunette as well. I found that one was slightly warmer, which generally suits me a little bit better with my hair color, but the L'Oreal was on sale, so I thought I'd give it a try, and I'm pretty impressed. It's been working pretty well for me. So I just like to go in. First, I like to trace the top eyebrow, if I could talk. So, and then we go in, I do my top outline, and then I pull down into my tail. And then I do kind of like the bottom line there, and just sort of work my way through the brow. And then I just sort of light strokes and fill in the insides. I like to go up, straight up and down on the inner corners of the brow. Just makes it a little bit more natural. And there we go. Then I'll take the spoolie and just brush that through a couple times. It just disperses the color a little bit more evenly. Makes everything look a lot more blended. You want the tails of your brows to be darker. And you want it to be sort of a fade, lighter from the inside and darker to the outside. So you can do your brows as intense as you want them. I just like mine fairly natural looking. I just don't feel like I can pull off a really strong brow. It's just not the best look for me, unless I'm just doing my makeup for fun, and then anything goes. So here we go. I got my shape there defined. We'll pull down into the tail and fill in from the underneath. And here we go. Up. If I'm not pressing really lightly, you want to use a really light hand, because it's always easier to add more color than it is to take it away. Especially once you got your base finished. You don't want to have to do your base all over again. So we'll go like this. And let's just sharpen up that corner a little bit. Sorry if I'm looking at my mirror quite a bit instead of directly at the viewfinder. I like to have a mirror a bit closer to me so I can really see what I'm doing. There we go. So, some people like to go in with a gel now and really just set their eyebrow hairs down, and then they know you're not going to be traveling all day. I don't generally bother with that unless I'm going to an event. I don't even actually have a brow gel right now, but what I will do in a pinch, if I do want them to stay put and not going anywhere, take a tiny bit of hairspray, dab it right out onto my ring fingers, like just squeeze it, one pump onto my ring finger, rub both of them together, and then I just rush it through my fingers like that. Or, sorry, through my eyebrows like that, and then they stay put basically all day. So I'm not going to do it, since it's just a regular day, I'm not going to bother with contour. I rarely contour anyway. I find it does give a nice extra oomph, but more when I'm doing a full face. So I'm going to go in with my blush next. I've got the Essence blush up in Heatwave. I really like the pink and the orange. You can use each color separately in here, or you can kind of blend them together for a nice coral kind of blush look. But I find that this is a nice matte blush. It lasts all day, and it seems to go really well with the Naked Heat palette. Like I can leave it a little bit lighter or really build it up. I'm using the e.l.f. Angle Blush Brush. I just tap it in a couple times. I like a pigment and blush, so I don't always tap off the excess. Sometimes I do. But then I just go right in on my cheekbone. I keep the brush sideways and just brush up and down a little bit. Really soft. Use a really light hand with it. Tap on a little bit more. Really light hand. And then do the same on the other cheek. A little bit more. So I like to bring my brush right from like the center of my cheek up to the temples. I just find that it helps sculpt my face. If I bring it too close to my nose, I can find it makes my complexion look a bit ruddy. But with other face shapes, that's more of an ideal look for you. Play with your blush placement. Some people like to bring it in a bit closer, put it over the nose, agari, like I believe it's Japanese style. With a nice light pink or something that gives you a nice fresh sunburnt look, which is also quite nice with the Naked Heat, especially on a nice sunny day. So we've got our blush on, and then I'm going to go in with highlights. I love highlights, so I'm going to use two. First I'm going to start with the Pure Nude highlighter. The Essence Pure Nude, everyone's heard about this, we all love it. It's just a baked highlighter we really like. I just like to take, I've got the Real Techniques setting brush here. I just like to swirl it around and highlight a bit, tap it off, and on my temple. I don't know if you can really see. I like to bring mine up and connect it to my eyebrow a bit too. That way when I get the light, it catches the orbital bone and it can look quite nice, especially when you're doing a really poppin' highlight. So I'm going to do the other side here. Bring it in and put a little bit on the Cupid's bow. So that's our natural highlight. For me, I know I'm doing a natural look, but I really like to pop. So I'm going to use, I have a Becca Cosmetics pressed Shimmering Skin Perfector in Opal. Mine I broke traveling, so I'm just gonna be really gentle with it. Just tap my brush into it lightly, and then just, I have a tissue down here, just tap off some of the chunkies and just brush that right on top. Nice and lightly, a little bit more, a little on each side, and a little bit on the Cupid's bow again. So as you can see, like I've got my highlighter there. You can tell I've got highlight on, but it's not bam in your face. If you feel like you've got a bit of a strip of eyeliner and highlighter, and you want to blend it a bit more, I like to just go back in with my blush brush just around the edge of the highlighter and the blush, and just sort of blend it out a little bit. This is not a must do at all. It's just something fun I like to play with. I don't generally do a bronzer. I'm not going to today. I like bronzer more for my bright, sunny, beachy kind of days. So the next thing I'm going to do is go in with my eye primer. We're ready to go into the eyes now. My favorite primer for the eyes is Urban Decay Primer Potion. I've used it in Original, and I also use it in Eden. I really like Eden. For my wedding this summer, I actually even used it as a bit of a color corrector and to keep my under eye concealer on all day. I just dabbed it on and then put the concealer on top, just blended in really quickly. It lasted all day. it looked perfect at midnight after a long day of the wedding and everything. So here we go. So I like to take my primer potion. You do not need much of this. I put a little bit on my eye in the center. And then I like to, for that inner corner highlight so that it stays all day, I like to just dab a little bit in here. And I like to put it under my eye as well. For the lower lash line shadow, it just keeps it, helps it adhere better. And for me, I find my lash line shadow can disappear a lot faster than on the top of my lids. And this really helps it last all day. So next thing I do is I take my fingers and I just blend it out first under my eye so it doesn't stick in place too much, and then the inner corners, and then on top of my eyelids. So I like to rub it right down into the lash line, so I make sure the shadow sticks all the way to my lashes, and then over my lid, and then I'll bring it up through my crease and right up to the brow bone, so that brow bone highlight will really stay all day too. So as you can see, this is a little bit lighter than my skin tone right now because I'm tan, but I find that's okay. It gives me a nice base for my eyeshadow. So here we go. I've got the Naked Heat palette. I love that packaging. Of the Naked palette, Smoky is my favorite packaging, but next has got to be Heat. I really like the way they did these containers. For the sake of this look being simple and natural, I'm going to use only the brush in the Naked Heat palette. I find that I can get a nice natural look out of this without having to add another brush into the mix. So here we go. First, I'm going to use the flatter side, and I'm going to dip that into Chaser. Chaser I find is a really nice base look, really close to my skin tone, and it's really nice for setting down my primer. By the way, I know I'm not supposed to tug at my eyes, but I do. And I'm sure a lot of you do too. And if I get a little bit of premature wrinkling from it, then so be it. We'll deal with it. Aging is aging. So we'll rub this on. This nice light base. I like to just sweep this, just the edge of it, sweep it underneath the eye too, just so that we're setting down that primer that we put underneath. So there we go. And then I'm just going to take my tissue, rub that color off. And the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to go in with Sauced. So I like to use Sauced as a lid shade. So I'm using the flat side of that brush. You can see I've got my pigment on it. I don't always tap it off. I don't find a ton of fallout with this palette, so I find it fine to just dip in. As long as I'm careful, I'm not like jamming the brush in there or anything, but as long as I do it nice and softly, I get my pigment on the brush and then I just take it right to my eye. So I like to start at the lash line, and then I just slowly build it up, and I bring it right up to my crease line, and then got a little bit more color. We're going to do it on this side as well. Start with the lash line, build it up to the crease. I find sometimes if I don't start with the lash line, I'll get little skips in there if I go in with eyeliner, and I won't. With eyeliner, I'll cover that up if you want to use it, but today I'm doing a natural look and I don't want to use eyeliner, so it really helps fill in the bottom of the lashes. So I'm just going to go in with one more layer of Sauced, except this time I'm going to focus it on the outer side of my eye. Still with the flat side of the brush, just to put a little bit more pigment down on the outside. Again, on the other side too. I'm going to bring it right up into my crease on the outer half of my eye. So you can see we have a bit of a gradient here going on. Just blend that in. And now I'm going to wipe my brush off on the tissue again to take that color off. Feel free to use lots of brushes if you want to. Sorry, I forget what I was going to say. Next, I'm going to add, I want a little bit of a pinkish look to this. So I'm going to go, and I'm using all matte shades today. I'm going to use He Devil. So this one, it's very pigmented. So I'm just going to tap it in really lightly. You can see, and I switched to the blending side of the brush, the crease side. So I'm going to take He Devil and I'm going to pop it right in my crease, right here. And I'm going to start on the outer side and then just rub that in a bit, brush it in, slowly bringing it down to the corner. And there we go. If you focus the color on the outside, it'll get lighter on the inside, and that'll help us build a really nice soft gradient all the way through the eye. Sorry about the light. The sun just went behind a cloud, so I'm not, don't have the best light in here right now. So here we go again. I'm doing the other side, focusing on the outer corner into the crease with He Devil. So for me, my eyes are slightly hooded, so if I keep it up under the crease when my eyes are open, you won't really see the color. So I like to bring it just out right onto my orbital bone a little bit. And that way I get a better shot of my crease color when my eyes are open. So there we go. So I'm going to go right back in with a little bit more He Devil and keep that on the bottom. Sort of bring it out to the outer V here. And do that to both eyes. And if you get a little bit too much pigment, just blend it back out into your crease. Just remember, start your brush where you want your color to be the deepest. And that way when you're blending out to your lighter sections, we won't wreck our gradient. So, to go back, blend, blend, blend. So we've done that. So to get underneath, if you're not going to use a small shader brush, I prefer to use the flat sides of this brush here, just to have a little bit more control doing a straight line. So I'm going to take Sauced and put that underneath my whole eye. It looks a lot more precise if you use like a pencil brush, like something like this. You can get right into that lash line, you can blend really well, but like I said, I want to do a quick, easy, natural look using one brush for you guys today. We can do some more detailed work later on. So we brought Sauced all the way under the eye. So to match it up, I'm going to put a little bit of He Devil, just a little bit of pigment on the edge there, and I'm just going to focus this on the outer third of the lash line underneath. And then just pull it right up into almost like a wingy kind of shape. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. And that just helps keep the depth on the outer corner. So as you can see, there we go. We got some in there. And then I got a little bit of extra pigment from my flat side here. So I'm going to go back to the blending side and blend it out a bit more. So there we go. So I've got the main look down. Next I'm cleaning off the blending side of my brush, and I'm going to dip that into Ounce. So I'm going to put Ounce, and I'm going to use that as my brow bone highlight and blend out my crease color there. So Ounce is the corner shade here. It's a nice like cream, slightly off-white, very slight shimmer. It almost looks matte at first when you look at it in the pan, but when you get it on your eye, it's a nice matte shimmer. So we've got it under the brow bone. Next, I'm going to close my eye, and again, I know I shouldn't be pulling in my eyes, but this is how I like to do my makeup. And for the inner corner highlight all in one, and to help our gradient, I'm just going to press it in here, and then just pull it up into the crease, pull it onto the lid, and pull it onto the lower lid. So as you can see, it really brightened up this side as compared to this side. I can tell, I'm not sure if you can tell quite as well on camera right now. So we'll do the same thing. Press it into the inner corner, push it up onto the eye, and pull it underneath here. So I like that. It brings nice. I'm just going to add a little bit more Ounce. I'm going to make it a bit lighter on the center of my lid. I just like how the gradient looks when I have it a bit lighter inside, darker outside. And I'm just going to take my brush with no extra pigment on it and just do a little bit extra blending here. Right? Okay, so there we go. I'm going to put my palette away now. That's my nice, natural, basic, quick, easy eye look that I'm going to do for the day. So the last thing we have left to do is curl these lashes and pop on some mascara. So I like to take my lash curler, I put it right as close to the lashes as I can without pinching my eyelid skin, and just really gentle. You don't want to press hard, you could cut your lashes off. And then I slowly open it and move the curler a little bit up my lashes to the tip. I usually do 3 quick presses on each eye, and I find it helps give a nice sharper curl than if I just do one. Again, if you don't like curling your lashes, feel free to skip this step. I'm using a Shimmering lash curler that I got at Sephora like 10 years ago. Lasts forever. And quick tip, if you can't find the Shimmering pads to put inside, the Revlon ones from the drugstore. I've bought the Revlon lash curler pads at Walmart and they fit perfectly. They're a dream. So, for mascara. My Holy Grail mascara right now, I just tried this. I got the non-waterproof in a Smashbox Try It kit last Christmas. I prefer waterproof mascara. It just holds my curl in better and it doesn't seem to smudge on me as much. So after I used up the deluxe sample, I loved it. So I went to Shoppers and I picked up the Smashbox Full Exposure Waterproof. So it's $28. It's a bit pricey. It's the first time I've ever really paid that much for a mascara other than just having a free sample, but I really like it. So this is what the brush looks like. It's kind of fluffy. I usually went for like a CoverGirl with like a thin plastic brush, but this, I actually really like it once you get used to the learning curve. So it's a volumizing, lengthening fiber mascara. So it gives you length and volume in one. I find 1 coat will give me a fairly natural look, 2 gives me a bit more drama, and 3 almost takes it into falsy territory for me. So today I'm just going to go for 2 coats, pretty natural, slightly drama, fun. I love mascara, I love lashes and how they open up my eyes, so I'm going to go for it. This is how I like to apply, is I like to take my wand, I like to straighten out my eye and look down and then press it to the very bottom of my lashes, wiggle it back and forth, and then turn the brush as I pull it out. And I find this helps fan out my lashes really nicely, gets the product right down to the bottom. And then in the corner. I love mascara. When I'm not messy, I'll get a little bit on my lid like I just did, but we can clean that up after. So, right in at the bottom, drag it out. So, here we go. So pretty natural, that's 1 coat, so I'm going to dip way back in the tube. And we're going to go for the other side. Wiggle back and forth, turn the brush, and pull through. Gives me, I really like separated, fanned out, fake lash looking lashes without the need to wear falsies. I love falsies, I love the look and the effect they give, but for everyday life, they are just not for me. Last time I gave you a shot of 1 coat with each eye, so there's 1 coat. So I'm going to dip it in and go for that 2nd coat now. So you've already got a bit of a base on there. This mascara dries fast. So I like to let it dry and then it thickens up and you get that 2nd coat in there. I use the little tip to pull out the corners to give me that fluttery lash look in the corner. And then, so we're going to dip it in for the other coat for the other eye. And here we go. Do you guys like watching people put on mascara? I love watching people put on mascara. I don't know why, it's just something I enjoy when I'm watching videos. I like to tilt my head back too. I find that helps me not get it on my upper brow bone when I'm putting on my mascara. Tilt my head back and look down into the mirror. So there we go. And then for the bottom lashes, when I'm not doing super drama, I like to just take what's left on the brush. Just run it lightly. Now this brush is a little bit easier to mess up your bottom lashes just because it's thicker. Oop, there we go. Got mascara on my nose. Just rub that out really quick and we can touch that up after. And there we go, making a funny face again. And here we go. So when I put that lash primer on my bottom, or the eye primer on my bottom lashes, bottom lash line, it tends to get on my bottom lashes a little bit, but I find it just makes them look a bit plumper once the mascara is on. So side by side. So I don't want them super black or anything today. So we're just going to do really light like that. Pull this up one more time. There we go. So that's 2 coats, Smashbox Full Exposure Waterproof Mascara. Eyes closed and eyes open. I really like it. I enjoy it. It's my favorite mascara right now. I'm interested in trying that new Urban Decay Troublemaker mascara. That looks awesome. Even though it's not waterproof, I like it. It looks cool. And the tube, like, come on, that tube is awesome. So for setting spray, I'm going to go in, because setting spray will make your makeup last all day. At least it does for me. I have fairly normal, slightly combo skin in my T-zone, but I'm not overly dry or overly oily each day, so I find things work for me fairly well. I don't run into a lot of problems, but the setting spray just locks everything in. It blends everything together. It gets rid of that bit of a powdery look that you have. And yeah, keeps it on all day. So I'm just gonna take, I have the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray right here. So I'm just gonna take it, I like to do about 3 sprays, sometimes 4. So we'll do, it says on the bottle to do 4 sprays in a T and an X across your face. So let's do that for today. I find 2 sprays is sufficient for day to day. When I'm going out is when I go for 4 sprays or more. And since that was a pretty natural look, I'm not really going to go in with a heavy lipstick today. I'm going to go in with a nice gloss. I like to, you can go in with a lipstick if you want to. I really like the Essence Matte 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 in 03. It's a really nice dusty rose color. I've used quite a bit of mine, as you can tell. It gives a really nice pink matte look. But like I said, today I want gloss. So I'm going to go, again, I got this in the Smashbox Try It Kit as well. It's a Smashbox Be Legendary Lip Gloss in Disco Rose. I really love it. The applicator is nice and soft and fluffy. The color, it's a really natural, neutral color. So it's a bit red, so it's got a bit of that Naked Heat feel to it. There we go. If I tend to get it in my Cupid's bow, I don't really like to overdraw my looks. So I didn't get it up there today, but I'll just take my middle finger and just pull down in the center and it'll give me my nice point again. So that's my look for today. Nice natural look, Naked Heat, using only the brush that came with the palette. This palette has been amazing. You can do tons of different looks for it. You can go glam, you can go even more natural than I just did. There's other color stories as well. Like, it's a very neutral, like orangey berry toned palette, but I find you can get a nice purpley kind of look with it too if you start pulling in like Scorched and Fuego ashes. We'll do a nice smoky eye with it, a nice glittery smoky eye one day too. Thanks for watching and see you next time.